Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the top 4 match of Sorbonne's non-meta tournament number 4. So if you did notice yesterday, I did upload a video on how to join the Sorbonne's non-meta tournament number 5. So if you are interested in that, you can go ahead and watch that video or just go ahead and join the Discord link in the description below and come and join tournament number 5. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Just if you're interested in any of these tournaments, you can come and play. So down at the bottom, we have iPone today, and he's playing Traptrix, and up at the top we have Mr. Manthenon, who is on Zombie. So I think we have seen both of these duelists play before in this tournament as well. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do here. So drawing 3 copies of Traptrix monsters is a pretty terrible hand, honestly, especially because Mantis adds another Traptrix monster, so it's kind of unfortunate here. And I think Atrax is kind of like a decent card. I don't know if it's actually worth playing, but we'll see here. So it looks like Mr. Manthenon is going to be leading here, and he's going to start off with a copy of Jewels of the Valiants, which is a cool card, and we're hopefully get to see this card in action. But Gozuki is going to be normal summoned here, and it's going to be using the effect to send a zombie from the deck to grave. So it's basically an Armageddon Knight for the entire deck, or for the zombie deck. Banshee is going to be using its effect to banish it from the grave and adding a zombie world to the hand, and he's going to go ahead and activate it. And then he's going to go ahead and use Jewels of the Valiant's effect, which is an effect: if exactly one monster is banished from your graveyard, you can send from your deck to grave a monster with a different attribute. So he's sending Spectral Sword here, which is a fire, which is definitely not a dark, so that's pretty cool. He's going to go ahead and set 2 cards in the back row, which are both 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. So he has a couple forms of interruption here, especially since Zombie World is technically like a floodgate. In fact, it doesn't do a whole lot against Traptrix though, so we'll see here. So he starts for turn. He's going to go ahead and normal summon Mantis and use the effect to search for a copy of Dionea. It's a pretty decent search since he can follow up the next turn with a rank 4. He's going to go ahead and special summon his copy of Sarah and then use the effect of Shade Brigandine. And Shade Brigandine is going to go ahead and special summon a copy of Mermello. And then this Ice Dragon's Prison is going to be chained here. So this is really interesting. I'm assuming he uses Mermello to target the Ice Dragon's Prison. And then he's obviously chaining the prison, targeting the Mantis. So he has to banish an insect monster on the field, which is the Mermello here. So if it was a plant, he actually couldn't banish the Sarah, since Sarah is actually unaffected by trap effects, so it would just banish the Mantis, and that would be the end of that. So it looks like he's just going to special summon Mantis and banish the Mantis and the Mermello. And then the effect of Mermello is going to be resolving, which means Sarah is going to activate in a new chain to go ahead and set a whole normal trap directly from the deck. He's going to be setting the Floodgate Trap Hole. He's playing around Imperm columns obviously here, even though Imperm is limited. It's still worth playing around, I think. So Floodgate Trap Hole, Lost Wind, and I assume this Gravedigger's Trap Hole is also going to be set to the field. And then he's going to pass his turn. So Gozuku is going to be using its second effect here. Or no, it's actually not a second effect. It's a first effect. That's actually not a on summon effect. It's just during the main phase. So that's actually pretty cool. Glow Bloom is going to be sent to the graveyard here, which means that if it's sent to the graveyard, you can use its effect to banish it and then add a level 5 or higher zombie from the deck to your hand. Or if zombie rolls on the field, you can special summon it instead. And that's going to be hit with a Gravedigger's Trap Hole, negating the effect and dealing 2,000 damage. Then it looks like Sarah is going to be triggering here to special summon Mermello, and I assume it's going to hit the last back row here. And then it looks like I'm actually not sure why this Solitaire. Mermello is a mandatory effect here, so did I miss something? Or I'm not sure how the Solitaire is getting sent to the graveyard here. Is it due to Globe? No, because it got negated, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's using the second. I'm not sure why he's sending this to grave. Did I miss something? I don't know. Oh, I think he's using the effect of Jewels of the Valiant. He must be, but I'm not sure why. Ghost Mourner. Oh, he's using Ghost Mourner on Mermello. Okay, that makes sense. And even though the effect gets negated, the effect, it doesn't negate activations. Okay, that makes sense. And then Sarah will set the bottomless. Okay, so that's exactly what happened. Let me go ahead and clarify that just to make sure. So basically what happens is Jewels of the Valiant is activated as Chainlink 1, and then Sarah's Chainlink 2 resolves. So Mermello gets special summoned. Jewels of the Valiant sends the Shirnu Solitaire to the graveyard. Then a new chain starts to begin. And then Mermello targets a back row, or one of the spells or traps on the field, that's going to hit with a Ghost Mourner and Moonlight Chill. Then in a new chain, Traptrix Sarah will trigger here since a Traptrix monster's effect is activated, and it'll set the Bottomless to the field. So that's exactly what happened there. Hopefully I explained that pretty well. He's going to be using Spectral Sword's effect to go ahead and synchro for 6 out of the graveyard, and he's going to be synchro summoning into a Archfiend Zombie Skull. So what's interesting is this doesn't technically synchro summon, it just special summons, if I remember. Yeah, just special summon a zombie synchro monster whose level is equal to that. So you actually don't have to meet the requirements on the synchro monster. So for example, this requires Plague Spatter Zombie, but this doesn't actually synchro summon, it just special summons it. So it just completely bypasses that. So that's kind of interesting. And so all of his dudes are unaffected by card effects. And this is really interesting about artwork, just a retrain of Summon Skull, it looks like. Then Solitaire's effect is going to go ahead and target a Banished Shiranui and special summon it, and that's going to get hit with a Floodgate Trap Hole, flipping it face down. Then it looks like he is going to normal summon Mizuki and go ahead and slink off into a copy of Avendred Savior, which goes ahead and I believe it like mills a zombie, very similar to Gozuki. So it activates in the damage step. So I think, I'm not sure if he's using the effect here, but because you can't activate Lost One in the damage step, but either case, it's just going to be crashing since they're both at 800. And then this copy of Archfiend Zombie Skull is going to be attacking. I'm assuming he's activating it before damage step since this sends as cost, I believe. Yeah, so it sends as cost just like Kaleido Chick. So yeah, Zombie Skull is going to be clearing over this Mermello for 900 damage, and then, or not 900 damage, was that more? I might have missed something. I'm not sure. He took 16. I'm not sure why, since this was at 16. It could be losing something, but I don't see why it would. Oh, maybe Ghost Mourner. Okay, that makes sense. Ghost Mourner, you take 16, obviously, since Mermello's attack. Dione is going to be normal summoned here, and that's going to get hit with an Ice Dragon's Prison, special summoning back the Mermello and Dione as well. I believe he targeted the same Mermello, so he's just getting rid of a 2-for-1 pretty much. That's kind of cool. He's just going to set this Call by the Grave and pass his turn. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of stuck here. Mr. Manthanon is in a pretty good position here, but looks like Call by the Grave is going to go ahead and banish this Gozuki. Mizuki's chained to special summon Gozuki, and then this Call by the Grave is going to banish said Gozuki. Or is it not Gozuki? Maybe Avenged Savior? That's actually really interesting. And then, so we looked up the ruling on this. This is a very interesting ruling. So Jewels of the Valiant will trigger here, but it does say if exactly one monster in your graveyard is banished and no other cards are banished at the same time. So this restriction, or this condition, is very interesting because it says, and no other cards are banished at the same time. So these cards were technically banished at different times, even though it was in the same chain as the chain was resolving, since Call by the Grave banished. Well, Mizuki banished as cost, and then Call by the Grave banished this on the resolution of the chain as Chain Link 2. So this is a very interesting thing here, since they're not banished at the same time, because cards that happen at the same time are, I can't remember the exact conjunction, but I believe it's and I don't remember the other one, but it would have to activate they would have to be on the same card, if that makes sense. So the card would have to banish them at the same time. Obviously, Mizuki's banishing itself, and the Call by the Grave is banishing this, so they're banished at separate times. There's no really other better way for me to explain that, but then Jewels of the Valiant will trigger in a new chain, and he can either send to graveyard either a dark or a earth. Even though that it has to be a different attribute from one of these, he can just pick whichever one and then send to the graveyard whichever he's missing. So he can just send any zombie from the deck to the graveyard, or any monster rather, since Jewels of the Valiant doesn't care what monster it is. So really interesting ruling there. Hopefully I explained that well enough. I feel like that it's just a very hard thing to explain. So I think that they are just trying to figure it out. Okay, so I think they figured out the ruling here. So okay, so it looks like Solitaire is going to be sent to the graveyard, and the Spirit Master is going to be normal summoned here to special summon a Shiranui from the grave, and then he's going to go ahead and I assume use Solitaire's effect to summon, oh, interesting, Spectral Sword Shade. I actually haven't seen this card before. So he's going to use the effect to special summon 2 banished zombie monsters, being Globe Bloom as well as a Shiranui Solitaire. And then he is going to go ahead and maybe synchro for 9. No, we'll just see a link off into a Event Dread Savior, and then use Glow Bloom's effect to special summon Belladrock from the deck. And then this copy of Spirit Matcher is going to be clearing over this Shade Brigandine. And I think from here it's game, because this is 28, 25, and 16, which should be 7,100? Yeah, I believe so. So that is going to be game here. And we're going to be moving into game number 2. And it looks like iPone is going to be opting to go first, I think that was. And wow, no Traptrix. Very interesting and a different dynamic from the first game, since he drew all of his Traptrix in the first game, but in this game he's drawing none. So yeah. Looks like a copy of Unizombie is going to be hitting the field first. Obviously, Pankratops can't summon itself, says his opponent doesn't control any monsters. So Unizombie is going to be sending the copy of Banshee to the graveyard, also sending a Glow Bloom, and both of them should trigger in the next chain. It looks like, I believe Bloom was Chain Link 1 and Banshee was Chain Link 2. That's the way he banished it, so I'm assuming that's what it was, since on resolution, Banshee would put the Zombie World in the field zone, and then Glow Bloom would special. So, yeah, I assume that this Gravedigger is going to be hitting the Banshee. And then he's just going to go ahead and search for the copy of Belladrock. And then it looks like Unizombie is just going to be hitting for 1,300. But actually, on the attack declaration, Fraulein is going to be hitting the field to special summon itself. So that's pretty cool. And he can actually use the effect here, since it doesn't... Oh, wait, no. It has to battles an opponent's monster. So good thing I caught that there. Then he's just going to be taking 13. And he's just going to go ahead and pass his turn. Looks like he drew into a copy of Torrential, which is pretty unfortunate as well. So, yeah, he draws for turn, drawing into a second Unizombie, and he's going to normal summon this copy of Shiranui Solitaire, and a Torrential comes down. So, effectively just passing his turn. Ice Dragon's Prison, just going to set and pass. Wow, this is really unfortunate for him. Unizombie is going to be hitting the field yet again. Ice Dragon's Prison is going to go ahead and banish them both, since Unizombie doesn't have a trigger effect on its summon. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. Wow, Shade Brigandine drawing for turn. I don't know when he's going to hit a Traptrix monster. We'll see. So, Shiranui Spectral Sword is going to be hitting the field. And he's just going to be setting 2 back row and attacking for 800. And then he's going to pass his turn. So drawing for turn, Floodgate Trap Hole. Wow, that's pretty bad. Shade Brigandine's going to go ahead and special summon itself. He's going to link off into a copy of Link Spider and attack for 200 over. And that's going to get chained with a copy of Shiranui style Swallow Slash, targeting 2 cards on the field and destroying them. And Solemn Judgment, wow, coming down here. Really interesting. Link Spider's going to attack for the 1,000 directly, since he can redeclare, setting this copy of Floodgate Trap Hole, and he's going to pass his turn. So Link Spider beatdown, pretty good. This Pankratops should be able to come down here just pretty clearly. So yeah, Pankratops hits the field. Floodgate Trap Hole, he's going to chain this copy of Pankratops, destroying the Lost Wind, which is actually pretty nice here, since he kind of likes this card being in the graveyard, since it just can come back anyways. So I think that was probably the worst pick for him to hit there. Then he can go ahead and probably, yeah, normal summon Solitaire. And maybe he can just... Oh, he's going to actually use the effect of Ice Dragon's Prison to summon the Spectral Sword, so he can't Synchro Summon and banish both of them. So I believe that both of them are actually going to use the effect, since they both get effects on Banish, or maybe it's just Solitaire that gets the effect on Banish to Special Summon too. And he's going to chain a Call by the Grave on that, targeting the Solitaire in the graveyard, so its effects are going to be negated. So... Yikes. Wow. Just effectively just shutting down his turn, and this copy of Belladrock is basically just stuck in his hand. Same thing with the Jewels of the Valiant. And unfortunately, he draws a Parallel Exceed. If this was a turn earlier, this would be so good, since he could just special summon it to the Link Spider's arrow, but he didn't, so attacking for 1,000 it is, I guess. And he's going to go ahead and pass his turn. A copy of Zombie World is going to be top deck, and he's just going to pass it at that. And Link Spider for another 1,000. Let's just keep getting in there, I guess. Traptrix is going to be set to the field, and his turn's going to be passed. Terraforming, wow, really unfortunate. Traptrix is going to be activated here in the standby phase. And he's going to go ahead and set a Pointer of the Red Lotus, paying 2,000 life points, hitting terraforming, I guess. I mean, that's fine, just so he can't thin the deck. Zombie World is going to be going ahead and activated here. Terraforming is going to come back in the end phase due to a pointer of the Red Lotus. And then he's top decks into Mantis, so here we go. Let's see if he can do something. Searching a copy of Dianea. Maybe he can make a Link 2, or maybe he makes a Sarah. I don't know, just depending on if he wants to trigger this Exceed or not. Looks like he is going to be making a Link 2 into Pentastag, and that should be game. I mean, Parallel Exceed's going to hit the field here, summon another one. He has 16, so he just needs to put 1400 damage on board, and Traptrix Alameris should be enough since he can just attack. And attack for game. So that's going to do for game 2. Quite a long game number 2, drawing just no Traptrix monsters, only trap cards. It's pretty rough, but it looks like Mr. Manthanon is going to start off here, and he starts off with a copy of Unizombie, sending the Banshee and the Glow Blue, triggering both, and Zombie World is going to be activated here, and Belladrock is going to be hitting the field. He's going to set one card, which is a Twin Twister, and it looks like in the main phase, he's going to go ahead and use Lightning Storm. I am assuming calling monsters, but he could also call Spell and Traps. We'll have to see. Spells and Traps, okay. That makes sense, but the Call by the Grave could actually be pretty good against the Belladrock, so I'm not sure why exactly he chose Call by the, or why he didn't choose Spells and Traps, but I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Marmella is going to be going ahead and normal summoned here. I believe he grabbed the Floodgate Trap Hole, and then Parallel Exceed is going to be chained onto this Sarah summon. I guess not chained, but starting a chain. And then he's going to be overlaying into a copy of Utopia, and then into a Utopia, the Lightning, hitting over this copy of Belladrock just by detaching 2, increasing his attack to 5,000. That's 2,200 damage. And in main phase 2, he's going to set 4 and pass his turn. So I assume Twin Twisters is just going to be activated in the standby phase, but looks like in the draw phase, Ice Dragon's Prison is going to be activated, summoning the Belladrock, banishing it and the Unizombie, just so he doesn't have to deal with it. Marmella is going to be hitting the field, its mandatory effect, and then Sarah's effect is going to be activated here to set a copy of Floodgate Trap Hole. Then Twin Twisters is going to be activated, discarding this copy of Zombie World, targeting 2 back row, which is a Floodgate Trap Hole and a Call by the Grave. He's going to set a monster and pass his turn. Marmella is going to hit over it, and then Sarah for 8, and Utopia for 225. So he's just left with 2,500 life points, and he's going to pass his turn. And he's got a copy of Evenly Matched. That's pretty unfortunate. Jewels of the Valiant is top deck here. Unfortunately, he has no more zombies in Grave, so even if he wanted to, I mean, if he had another zombie in Grave, he could just use this Mizuki and then summon it back and then use the Jewels of the Valiant. But he also had like a, you know, obviously the Gravedigger's and the Floodgate Trap Hole, so he had quite a bit of interaction on his opponent's turn, especially since he could, after he uses his trap card, just like chain the Sarah, summon Marmella, pop. So he just had so much, honestly. It wasn't even that fair. But that's going to go ahead and do it for today's video. So it looks like iPwn is going to be heading into the finals with Traptrix. So really cool. And Mr. Manthanon can go ahead and play for 3rd place, and I will show that match very soon as well. So stay tuned. Go ahead and sign up for Sorven's Not a Meta Tournament number 5. And with all of that said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.